So good evening, everyone. This is going over the first business intelligence exercise in SAP, and we are supposed to create a query. And the query is a question that we are posing to the database. Right now, normally when you write a query in Oracle or in Access, you write what we call an SQL statement. It's actually a particular code that would look up information and extract information from specific tables. Now, when we go to a business intelligence or a business warehouse, a data warehouse, you have what we call an info cube. It's a multi-dimensional information store. So we don't have the normal tables that only have 2 dimensions. You have what we call a cube that have multiple dimensions. It's not even 3 dimensions that you would think. You can add dimensions as you go. So all of your information is in that info cube, and you are going to design the query to specifically say, what do I need to have in my report? Once you create the report, then you can go and actually manipulate it so that you can have different answers for the questions. How is this different from the old or the traditional approach? In the traditional approach, I have a specific question and I create an SQL or code to answer that specific question. So ahead of time, me as the analyst and you as the user have to agree on what the question is. Clear? Now, with this new tool, you don't have to ask the user. You are saying the only question that you tell the user is, what information are you interested in? And they get to manipulate the data, the view, in any way they want. And that's why we say this is ad hoc query. So it's up to the user to determine what is it they want to see, and all they have to do, they don't have to write queries or SQL. They right click and they say, pull that in, put that out, swap these 2 axes, and so on. As we said, the traditional approach is that I have to sit with you, get specifically what are your questions, write the code for these questions, and then you click on a button and a report comes out to you. In the BW, which is the business warehouse, I get to just create a view of what all the information that you are interested in. And you get to decide, and you use that same view to answer as many questions as you may have. That's right. You manipulate the data rather than me dictating or in a predetermined session with you decide on what questions you need to answer. So what we are going today to do is design that query so that we have a view that the user can go and manipulate in so many different ways. The first thing that you will have to do is go to your start menu if you have downloaded SAP, and then go to Business Explorer and choose Query Designer. And that will open the SAP logon screen, and you should see Belfast in it, and that's the actual server that we will be using. What if I don't see Belfast? If I don't see Belfast, I'm going to cancel out, and I will go to my regular SAP logon screen. My daughter, she always called me that. I say I'm in class. Okay, and you will right click on your connections and you will choose add new entry, and you will click next, and then you'll put the description, any description, business warehouse, OLAP, online analytical processing, data warehousing, whatever you want to call it, it really doesn't matter. That will be the title that will appear on your screen. So your application server is belfast.cob, College of Business, .csuchico.edu. Your instance number is 90 and your system ID is Bell, the first 3 letters of Belfast. So if you, again, working on your machine, you should see Belfast. If you don't see it, then you enter it, and that would be it. If you are working on the machines in the lab, because you don't have administrative rights, every time you turn in, you will have to add that server. And you just hit next, next, and finish. So going back now, I'm going to my old programs. I'm choosing Business Explorer. I'm choosing Query Designer. And now I'm gonna choose, I should see my Belfast or the data warehouse, or I choose SAP BW 7.3, whatever you want to call it. You should see either Belfast. If you see Belfast, then double click on it. If not, then you should see the server that you created. So I'm going to click on Belfast. Remember, your client is the right one. Whatever the pop-up screen, the pop-up window will show, that's the right client. It's 800. Your user ID starts with TSU dash and then the same last 3 numbers that you had for GBI. So if your GBI was 033, then this user ID would be TSU dash 033. So the last 3 numbers are the same. Your password, the very first time you are logging in, is SAP4US, the same password that you had also for the SAP front end. Once you log in, then you use the second one that it will ask you to change it, and you have to capture that. Use the same one that you used for SAP and use it. When you log on, you will see that a screen that says SAP NetWeaver, and it will open a software called SAP Query Designer. And we want to create a query, so we will click on New. Now, I asked you last time, if I am creating a query, what do I need? I need the data, and the data resides, someone says the database, but this is business intelligence. Excellent. So it is a data warehouse. It is, in SAP, they call it info cube. It is an info cube. Okay? So I need to locate my info cube. And for you guys, because I've already gone through that exercise with you last time, it shows my info cube right away. But for you, the first time you're logging in, you shouldn't see anything. And you will click on Find, and you will search with the technical name, and it tells you in the exercise that the name starts with C11, and the asterisk is a wild card, which means any character after the C11 should be used. So anything that starts with C11, display it for me. So again, we're going back to Query Designer, and we'll say, okay, show me a technical name that starts with C11. And I will put the asterisk to say whatever after the C11 is okay. So anything that starts with C11, display. And I hit enter, and I see you are supposed, in the exercise it says choose C11001. There is no 001, but there is 012, and it is the same, so go ahead and use it. Okay, now, as we said, in an info cube, Remember when I talked to you about databases and I said the data reside in tables, and the table, each table capture information about one entity only? So if I'm talking about the physician information system, a physician will be in one table, the patient in another, the clinic visit is in a third. Every single entity will be in a separate table by itself. That's very different from the business warehouse. In the data warehouse, everything is poured together in an info cube. Because I don't worry about deletes or updates or anything. For the MIS people, we talk about anomalies. That if I delete one record, if I have everything in one data warehouse or a table, and I delete one record, I may lose information that is important for me. So I delete an order and I delete information about the customer, which I have to keep. And that's why we separate things, customer by itself, orders by itself. I cancel one order that has no effect on the customer. Now in this, I really don't worry about deletes or updates, because this is historical data. No updates, no deletes, no changes. Only thing that I'm allowed to do is read and read only. So now I don't worry about how the attributes are organized. I'm going to pour them all in an info cube and then use the info cube in any way I want in order to show or answer questions that I may have. Make sense? Okay. So we'll start now designing the query, and it says that you need to drag the year. So they want you to be able to filter by year. All you have to do in the exercise is take year, and I don't see year. Where should year be? Under time. So I'm going to expand time, and I see a calendar year, and I'm going to drag it. And do not open. You need to drag the whole calendar year. So do not expand the menu for calendar year. Just drag it from that green triangles and put it under characteristic restrictions. Now you need to watch and see that at the bottom of the screen the tab is named filter, which means that adding that attribute to the filter will allow me to restrict my view to a specific year. I can restrict it to 2007 or 2010, depending on, again, the assignment that I have. Okay? So the first thing that we did is we dragged calendar year under characteristics, free characteristics, so that we would be able to limit or restrict the view to a specific year. Okay, so the second thing in the exercise, so you understand why we are putting it under the restrictions and not under a row or a column. I don't want to show all of the years. I just want to show a specific year. So to allow me to filter, and if you remember the pivot tables, we had one section in the pivot tables where I can add filters, right? And that allow me, and it actually placed that attribute at the very top of the Excel sheet and allow me to filter. Let me show you in the Excel sheet how it looks. See here, I have last name outside of the table, but it allows me to say, okay, I only want to see bond. And now I'm only seeing information for bond. So it doesn't affect my rows and columns in the pivot table. It allows me to filter the information that I see inside of the pivot table. And that's exactly what they want you to do in the Query Designer, is that they want you to be able to filter the whole table based on a specific year. So now they tell you they want you to filter the results to year 2009, 10, and 11. So going back here, I'm going to double click the calendar year, and that opens do you all see not assigned, or do you see actual values when you double click? Not assigned? Because he told me that he already sold that. Can never trust anyone. Okay, we'll just leave it for now, but you're supposed to see actually 2007, 2008, 2009, and I'm wondering maybe we should try another info cube. Yes, okay, that's good. So if you have already opened C11012, go ahead and click again on new query, and this time choose C11025, because the 012 doesn't have the years. So again, we're double clicking on calendar year, and we want to choose 2009 until 2011. So I'm going to highlight all three of them using the shift key, and then I'm going to choose them. To select them, you move them to the right and hit OK, and now I have my calendar years. I choose a different info cube. That's where the data resides, because the first one did not actually have data in it. And SAP, that's the one thing that I hate about them, is that they keep on changing the curriculum, but they are not consistent. So the instructions say one thing, and then the actual data warehouse says something else. But that's real life. Okay. So going back to you will be able to see it in the video anyway. Now you want to put the country also as a restriction. So I want to be able to restrict either by United States or by Germany. So going back, I'm going to click on customer, because country is a dimension of the customer. The customer resides in a specific country. and I see that I have country right here, and I'm going to put it on top of calendar year. So you have the calendar years 2009, 2010, 2011, and you also have country, and you want to restrict it. So, and one thing it tells you in the exercise, you can double click, but you can also right click and say restrict. And that would open the same thing that you have seen before, and this time you're going to choose United States and hit OK. So when I expand country, I see that the data that I will see in my table apply to the United States for the year 2009, 2010, 2011. The next thing, so now I know what are my filters. The second part, the same thing like you did with the pivot table. You have to decide now what are your columns, what are your rows. What do you want to see in the report? And it says you want the products to be, let's see, you want the products to be your rows, and for the columns you want revenue, quantity, cost of goods, and the discount. So we'll go and say, now I don't want the view for filter, so I'm going to choose from down there rows and columns. And now I want to drag the product under the rows. So I'm going to take product and put it under rows. And it didn't allow me the first time because actually product is a category. Underneath it, I have different things: division, material characteristic, and product category. I'm going to take the product category and put it under the rows. And as soon as I do this, I see in the preview I have two types of products: product A and product B. And now the second thing is now to add the revenue under the columns, and the cost, was it, what else? I don't seem to remember anything. Sales, quantity, cost of goods sold, and discount. Okay, so I have sales quantity, and then cost of goods sold, and discount. And the next thing you need to do is you want to test your query, you want to save it, and you are going to save it with MGSC 671 underscore R1 Q1, and then the last three numbers of your, well, we can choose a very simpler thing. I don't think it will make a difference with them. So R1 Q1, so it is the first query, so we'll say revision 1 query 1 and your user ID, which would be your last name. I won't use the numbers, that way it's easier for me to grade. So now I'm going to click on the save query, and that will bring up a way for me to give it a name. So I'm going to delete that, and I will type MGSC 671, and that's important because I have another class that's using the same exercise, so you have to tell me what's your course, and then underscore R1 Q1, that's first revision for query, the first query, and then underscore and your last name. And hit save. And now you have the query saved. You can actually run it to see how the report will look like. To run the report, you click on execute at the up, or it says Control R. So I'm going to click on execute, and that will ask me what is your SAP NetWeaver, and it is the same user ID that you entered. So it is TSU-044. That's the one that I'm using, and my password. And boom, I have my query. Okay, so you have your revenue, you have your sales quantity, cost of goods sold, your discount, and here are your product category, and it has some totals in there. Okay, now the next thing is they want you like to refine the view. So we'll go back, we'll close this one. So now they want you to add sales organization as a free characteristic, which means that I may decide on adding it later. I don't want it right now, but if the user decides to add it, they can add it. So we'll add sales organization and customer. So where are my free characteristics? They are here. Are they the same as my filter? No, they are not. The free characteristics, remember, are attributes or particular columns in the info cube, particular attributes in the info cube that you are saying maybe the customer will need them, so leave them there. So I'm going to take, what did they say, customer and what now? Sales organization. Let's see, where is, yeah. It is customer and sales organization, so I'm going to drag customer, put it under free characteristics, and sales organization under free characteristics. Make sense? So first, I've decided what are my filters. Second, what is the rows, what are the columns. Third, put some additional information in there in case the user may need to see it. So they want you to add a new row for you, one under the rows. I don't know if it's a structure. Okay. Yeah, it is. Oh, they want the actual characteristic or the actual attribute called material. I was thinking that they want a new one. So I'm going to actually delete that. So. Okay, they want material, so material characteristic is there, and they want it to be added to the rows. So now you should see the products and the material. And they want you to display they want you not to use the word material, but to use the word product and to display it as a key. So see here where it says material? I'm going to change the description and call it product. Say that again. And they want you to display it as a key. And they want always suppress. So going back, just like to make sure, they keep on changing the instructions. Add material to the rows. Click on the element in the properties windows. Tab general, rename it, and we did that on the display. Set display as a key and always suppress, which we did. Okay. Sort product by text 1 and 2. So you want to make sure that the sort by sort as text, and it doesn't have that option. Okay, doesn't matter. Okay. Okay, we'll just ignore that step. If you can see it, I'm in mine, it's not enabled, so I will assume that I've done it, but that's fine. So now you don't want any decimal places for all of your key figures. So here are my key figures. I'm going to select all of them using the control key. So just like click on the first, the second, the fourth. And under number of decimal places, you want to choose 0. And that will mean that you don't have any decimal places. So, and we did them for all of them at so you don't have to do it manually. So you select the first one, you hit Control, select the second, the third, the fourth, and then under display, you are going to choose number of decimal places as 0. Now we want to see what the effect is on the query. So I'm going to save and run. So I don't have any messages. That means there are no errors. And I'm going to execute. And now I see my product categories, and I also see the material characteristics underneath them. And I see that the revenue, the sales, the cost of goods, and the discount don't have any decimal places anymore. Yeah, if there is an error, if there is something wrong, you will see in the message either a warning, sometimes that gives you a warning, or an error. Yes. Actually, it won't execute. If you have an error, it will never execute. It will wait until you actually so go ahead and close it again. Make sure, I want to give it one more try. Okay. So I'm going back, and again, I'm going to try and see. That's product, that's description is called product, and they say under display, display as key, and suppress, always suppress the rows. And then for product category, which is the one above it, I want to display as text and sort characteristic by product category, and sort by text. So now when I run it, now it doesn't say again material, it actually says product, and they are sorted. So I have accessories first, and then under accessories, product is sorted. Okay. Now I think there is one last thing that we need to do, and that to add a formula. So now I want to add a new attribute, and that's % discount. And the % discount is equal to the discount divided by the revenue multiplied by 100. So it is a formula that I want to add. So again, in the query design, I'm going to, underneath the key figure, because it's one of the columns that I will show underneath there, I will right click. Let's see. I should have new formula. Okay, you select discount and you choose new formula, and it says formula 1, and this time you will call it description discount %. And you want to actually define, I don't think you need, you don't leave a space, so it's discount % with no space in between. And you click on edit. And now it allows you to define exactly how you want the discount to be defined. So it is equal to discount, and that's the same thing like you would add a calculated field in Excel. So we did that in the pivot table, and we're doing exactly the same thing. So it is discount divided by, and we click on revenue, multiply by 100. And I think that's all that they want, but let's check. So we're adding a new formula. We are defining that formula as discount divided by revenue multiplied by 100. Okay, so let's see how will that, what effect will it have. So now I have discount percent, and you see beside it that it is a formula. It has an FX beside it. So let's save and run and see if it will display or not. So now I have my formula, and I can see that I have discount percent at the end, but it's showing as an actual number, and I don't know if that's the value that they want you to show. Yes, okay, so you have a discount. So let's they say to, in the instructions they say divide by revenue multiply by 100, but then in the actual window they have discount and then percent A and then revenue. So it says discount as a percentage of revenue. So that's an actual operator, and that's a new thing. They didn't have to use it. They didn't have it before. So you just click on percent A and then click on revenue, and now and hit OK and run. So you have the percentages right here. So they don't want you to show the discount. So I'm going to close this and go back, and they want us to hide the first discount. So you're going to click on it, and under display you want to hide it. And then you run the query again. So now it's showing just the percentages. So what if I want to restrict to 2 decimal places for the percentage? you are going to go back to the query, and for the discount percent, you want under the display to show that the number of decimal places is just 2. And again, save and run, and you should see the same value as in the report. So now it only shows 2 decimal places like it is on the report. The last thing that we want to do is convert the currency. So we want to remove the filter for country and remove the material from the rows. Okay, so now what they want you to do is they want to remove, they said remove what? They want to remove the filter country. So what happens if I remove the country? What are the 2 countries? Do you remember the 2 countries that are in the query? Germany and the US. Right now I have US only. What will happen if I remove the filter from the query? I will get currencies that are a combination of Euro and the US, and I have to convert everything to just one currency. So under the Query Designer, they want you to go under Filter and take away the country. Remember in SAP, to take away something, you drag it to the left. That means don't put it again in my Query Design. So you just like drag it left and it will be removed. Now, out of curiosity, let's see what the currencies will look like. So you no longer see the dollar signs, because now you have the euro and some are in dollars, and you cannot really translate how much exactly you are making. So I need now to go and convert everything into one currency. So I'm going to choose my revenue. Did they say revenue and what now? Crazy. Revenue and discount, and convert them to a currency that they have inside of the system that says BI curriculum. But you will actually see that you can choose whatever currency you want to convert to. And that's one of the things that we say is really a strength of SAP, is that you can do consolidation of reports in just a second. It doesn't take you the amount of time that a normal system would take. Everything can be converted in just a second to one currency. So we are choosing revenue and discount, and we want to go under conversions, and we choose the conversion type to be the BI curriculum fixed US dollars. So I want that currency to be the one that shows. And now they also want you to remove material from the rows. So I don't want material anymore, and that's the product. Remember, it was material and we rename it to product. So that's the one that they want you to remove. So you end up with just the categories, and you have converted the discount and the revenue. Now we are going to save. And it says you have errors. Okay, let's choose it again, discount and revenue. And we want the convergence, and we want, is it the right curricula? The BI curriculum fixed US dollars, so it should be this one. Says the currency does not exist. So maybe it is the, no, it shouldn't be. It says the cost of goods. Yeah, let me take that out. And now choose revenue and discount. Okay, I think it might be because I'm choosing both at the same time, so let's do it one by one. So just the revenue. We do a conversion and we say it is fixed. Then the discount. So what if I take the sales quantity out and the discount percent out? Do I still have the same? Okay, anyway, I'm going to send them an email and let them know that there is still a problem with that last one, but that's 1.8, that's the currency conversion, so it says everything should be in a dollar sign. Okay, so just this, if you can do, did you try 1.8 and did it work with you? No? Okay, so if it doesn't work, that's fine. We'll just